Right, Joe, this summer there's a lot of big, iconic names that will be leaving their respective clubs. Particularly some big names leaving the Premier League. We'll be sad to see them go. So it gave us a little idea. We've got Luca in the hot seat. So we've tasked you, Luca. We've got on the board there some of the biggest names, not just from the Premier League, from other leagues as well, that will be leaving their respective clubs. We're tasking you with bringing in someone you think would be perfect to replace them. We're going to go in order. So starting with Casemiro, who is leaving United this summer, as we know. Who did Man United replace Casemiro with?
I've gone with Eduardo Camavinga. Now, there's a lot of rumours that Elliot Anderson could be the replacement, but A, I think he's most probably going to go to City. B, he's going to be extremely expensive, and I think Camavinga is going to be a lot cheaper compared to him. I think in some aspects of the game as well, he's better than Elliot Anderson. He's a more accurate passer, he's a better ball carrier. And I think his time at Madrid, especially post the 21-22 season when Casemiro left and we all expected him to kind of take over that role, it's been quite stagnant. And I think it's time for him to move away, have a new environment to flourish in. And I know he suffered from injuries, but this guy's a top-level midfielder, and I think the Premier League would be a great jump for him.
Mina, you're a Man United fan? What are your thoughts
Yeah,
on that?
I would like Camavinga, and he's still young. I think that's what a lot of people forget, that he's still quite young. I know we've been linked to Tchouaméni as well. I think that's not really going to happen. I think that's just contract talks. I would like Camavinga. I wouldn't mind Carlos Baleba as well. But I think for a direct replacement for Casemiro, I think Camavinga would be a good.
Do you worry about replacing Casemiro's experience? You know, we're talking about a player who's been there, won it all. You can see him on the pitch, leading, dragging the team through moments. With a younger player, you know, we've seen United linked with Baleba or Camavinga. Do United need a more established name to replace Casemiro?
Yes, for mentality-wise, but I don't think that has to be the midfielder that we sign. It could be other positions as well. And people need to start carrying their weight in the team as well. Bruno Fernandes is experienced. Harry Maguire's got a new deal. He needs to pull his weight as well when Casemiro leaves. So I don't think that should be a hindrance.
Also, he's only 23, but he's been around for ages. He's played first-team football since 17.
Very good point. I think people were surprised when you say his age, actually. Next up, Bernardo Silva. I mean, how do you replace Bernardo Silva? Man City is one of his greatest players in Premier League era. Always available as well, multiple trophy winner.
So important to that team. This is going to have to be a huge name to replace him.
I think you can't replace him in terms of his importance and things like that, but I've gone with Ibrahim Marza from Bayer Leverkusen. Only 20 years young. Great player.
Very often you also find that players from that league translate quite well, and I think the real difference for me is going to be if Pep leaves in the summer, how they transition that squad. And I just wonder if a new manager coming in and getting, you know, a player in the right position works. And that could
Do you
work
think that's potentially why we've seen links to Edson Fernandez in recent weeks? You know, Elliot Anderson in recent weeks, players that have been established in the Premier League for a number of years. Bernardo Silva potentially leaving. Slightly more ready-made
than Marza, yeah, of course. I think so. But I think Marza this year has been excellent for Leverkusen. 5 goals, 6 assists. Extremely technically gifted, like Bernardo Silva. Can also drop in deeper, extremely comfortable in the half-turn. I think for the future, he has a very high ceiling. But naturally, if they want a more established player, they'd probably go down the Premier League route. But I think Marza has a very bright future ahead of him.
Let's also be honest. I think if Pep does go, then the manager that comes in, we all know, is probably Maresca. I think he suits Maresca really well.
And obviously, at the club already, they've got kind of a stockpile of midfielders. Tijani Reinders, we haven't seen loads of across the second half of the season anyway, arrived from Serie A last season. Do you think he could potentially fill a little bit of those Bernardo Silva voids?
Yeah, I think he's not an exact replica of Bernardo Silva, but I think Reinders deserves more time. There's a lot of rumours that he could potentially leave this summer, but I think it's quite unfair. He had a incredible start to the season, Reinders. Struggled to find form and consistency with how good the Man City midfield has been this season. But I think they have a lot of options in the squad already.
It's a brave shout. Okay, let's get him up.
Wow.
Big boots to fill, Bernardo Silva.
Huge boots to fill indeed. 454 appearances Bernardo Silva's made for Man City, 15 major trophies as well. Wow. Speaking of Man City, another City player, John Stones.
John Stones, yeah.
So who are you replacing him with?
Player they already have.
Yeah.
Vitor Reis, who's on loan in Girona right now. I honestly think that City are the most blessed team in Europe when it comes to centre-back options. I don't think they need to sign one whatsoever. They got Guehi, Kusanov, Diaz. They got Gavardio. Ake's still there. He's probably on the way out. And they got Reis. They don't really need to sign a new one. This guy's been excellent for Girona. He's played over 30 games. He's extremely intelligent. He's very young, but his ceiling is very high. And he's actually quite similar to John Stones. He's very technically gifted. He drives the ball well. He's versatile as well. So I think in terms of player profiles, these two are very similar. And with how blessed they are in the centre-back option, I don't think he'll get much game time. I think those 4 ahead of him are 4 of the best centre-halves in Europe at the minute. So I think this one is pretty nailed on.
Okay.
How big of a loss do you think John Stones and Bernardo Silva are from a leadership perspective in that City dressing room? Because they have been there and won absolutely everything.
So that can go both ways. I think there are times where I'm not saying people are, acolytes of Pep, but I think sometimes what you need is to anoint new leaders within the dressing room quite early on. And especially people who are playing less minutes and maybe could go somewhere else and make a more meaningful contribution than coming off the bench or having to recover from injuries more regularly. Or it's actually better to move those guys on. And early on, if you are going to move on from Pep Guardiola, you need people who are going to suit that new system and buy in. I think Maresca, in particular, if he does become that new manager, needs younger players, or at least players who he can shape into his own ideas, and not people who are going to go, this wasn't the way Pep did it.
Yeah, okay. Let's get him up.
Take him up on the board.
The next one is a big talking point.
Huge one.
Before we see Luca's pick of who he would replace Mo Salah with, who would you replace him with, Loz, as the Liverpool fan?
I think there's a few big names. I also think it's not necessarily about just going, who have we got on the right? I think on the right, we're probably looking at getting our width from the fullbacks next season and maybe looking at Frimpong playing a little bit more progressed, should we say. I think it's just about signing a talented winger who can play in multiple positions. Some people also saying Bradley Barcola might be one of those names. And the other name that might be there is...
I've gone with Yan Diomande.
He's the name that is currently kind of flying around every social media platform.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's because he's being really complimentary about Liverpool,
Yeah.
which makes it look very obvious that he could sign. But he's exactly what we're lacking this year.
You take him straight away.
Absolutely,
Easy
yeah.
for you.
He's much more, as with anyone who's going to come from that club, a bit rawer, and he's going to need a bit of shaping in the league. But broadly, Liverpool have got that experience to be able to do that, and I think he's going to come in and provide what the strikers we've got need, and he's perfect and complementary to a 10 like Wirtz, because he's just always moving. He's always going to be an option, and at the moment, I think Salah, as brilliant as he is, he has been fantastic this year. Let's not underestimate how many times an assist or whatever has kind of gone awry because the player hasn't finished it. This guy's going to be a little bit more direct, slightly more energetic, and maybe track back in a way that Salah didn't.
I agree with everything Lawrence said. He's an extremely hard worker when it comes to defensive attributes. He can play on either flank as well. I think he suits the Premier League too, in the sense that he's very physical, he's very quick, he's athletic. I think he's a perfect Premier League winger. And like Loz said as well, he's been very complimentary of Liverpool. I think he said on a live stream that his dream is to play at Anfield and his father's dream is to see him play at Anfield. So he's almost trying to force that move.
Yeah.
So when he signs for United, it's going to be really upsetting.
But I also think that Diomande is also the best realistic winger available on the market this summer.
Yeah.
But he isn't going to come cheap. We've heard rumours that Leipzig are going to want close to 100 million for
That doesn't bother us. Just drop in the ocean.
There we go. Stick him up there. Okay.
Stick you on. Still only 19 as well.
Next up, we've got Robert Lewandowski, who is yet to agree a new contract at Barcelona. He may well get an extension. Mina, before we come to Luca, anybody you think would be a good option?
I think Alvarez would be a great option. I don't know how likely that is to happen, especially with Griezmann leaving Atletico. But
They want him, though.
Yeah, imagine a front three of Rafinha, Yamal, Alvarez. That is a very fluid one.
Yeah.
But I also think a proper number 9. That's what they've lacked this season, especially when Lewandowski's been out and they've tried the false 9 thing. I feel like they've missed that box presence. There's not many strikers in Europe at the moment, but I think the one that you have is a great option too.
Osimhen.
Yes.
Love that.
Why?
I think this guy is the 4th best striker in the world, and I think
100%.
that's quite concrete. Only Kane, Mbappe and Haaland are better than him. And I agree with Mina there. I think they need a proper number 9, an out-and-out 9. And I know he's very content at Galatasaray. I know he's recently signed for them, but that move to Barcelona would be a no-brainer for him. I think this guy offers everything you want in a striker. He's quick, he's athletic, he's a box threat, he works so hard, he's the best pressing striker in the game. I think any club that could potentially sign Osimhen, if they were to pass up on him, it would be a silly decision. He is one of the best strikers in the world.
And do you know the thing that makes Luka really well qualified? Obviously, you watch a lot of Serie A football. If you watch Serie A, obviously there are a lot of stereotypes about the league, but he was head and shoulders above so many other players in that league. Watching him live, it was like watching someone who's playing in a different year in school. He was that good.
Yeah.
The height, the pace, the way that he chases the ball. If you can get a manager that really instills those ideas in him again, because I think he sort of lost a bit of the romance that he had with Napoli, that is I think that's just like a game-breaking kind of signing. I think it's a great shout.
I totally agree. Even like this season, Galatasaray, they played Juventus, and he was just a nuisance throughout both legs. He's relentless for 90 minutes. He is a defender's nightmare.
Okay, shout that one.
I'd have loved him in the Prem, by the way.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't go.
Now, a
for
lot
it.
of these names we've said are impossible to replace. The likes of Salah, the likes of Bernardo Silva, Manuel Neuer for me. I mean, this is going to be one of the hardest for anyone to replace. You're talking about one of the greatest keepers of all time, who still looks good at 40. He's doing, won everything there is to win. How on earth do you even start to replace Manuel Neuer?
Well, I think they'll renew him, to be honest. I think he'll renew until 2027, and they have a second-choice keeper who's also very good. But I've gone with Verbruggen if they were to replace him. There's been a lot of concrete links between the Brighton keeper and Bayern Munich already this season. I think he's comfortable with the ball at his feet. He's a good shot stopper. I think he has 9 clean sheets for Brighton this season. But like you said, Smithy, I think he is irreplaceable, someone like Neuer.
Okay, stick him up there.
Stick him down.
And there is a lot of chat in there that he's going to renew his contract anyway. There's also a lot of chat that Rudiger will. But if Rudiger was to leave without signing a new deal, who would be a good replacement?
Nico Schlotterbeck. And I think even if Rudiger was to renew, I think they should still go and get him. Because I look at the Madrid centre-backs right now. They have Dean Howson, who's got brilliant talent, right? And he's for the future. They got Asensio, who's on the way out. They have Eder Militao, who's torn his ACL twice, unfortunately, for him in the last few seasons. So he's very injury-prone. Rudiger, who's getting older and injury-prone. I think Schlotterbeck is such a unique player profile. When you talk about left-footed profiles in the game, there aren't many top-level ones, and he is one. Now, I know he renewed his contract, but there's rumours that he's got a 50 to 60 million pound release clause, which I think is very fair for a player of his quality. And he's also very technically gifted, very progressive. He ranks in the top 1 percentile for progressive passes and passes into the final third for defenders. And I think Schlotterbeck is the perfect replacement.
With that front line as well, he'd just be bombing out the ball to different parts of the field, and it just works so well.
Okay, let's get him up as the Rudiger replacement.
Next up, Jan Sommer, Inter Milan.
I have gone with Carnesecchi from Atalanta.
Not Vicario.
It's interesting because there are a lot of, reports, rumours that Vicario is heavily linked with Inter Milan. We'll wait and see how that progresses, but that could be who they look to replace Sommer with, but you're going elsewhere.
Yeah, I've read those rumours, and I think that's probably more concrete for price-wise as well. Carnesecchi is going to cost a lot, but I think this guy's levels above Vicario. He is, for me, one of the best keepers in the league, the second best behind Mike Maignan. He's extremely young, but he's a brilliant shot stopper. And Atalanta this season have been quite poor, really, for their standards. They're in a transition period post-Gasperini. They've struggled, and him and Ederson have been the 2 best players by far. He's had some big performances against Juventus in the Cup, against Dortmund in the second leg of the Champions League. I think this is a no-brainer for Inter because Sommer this season is prone to errors. And bringing in Vicario, I don't think there's going to be much change.
Okay.
Vicario is also going to be the best Championship keeper next year.
I was waiting for that. I was waiting for that from Loz.
This next one then involves Dusan Vlahovic, who does look like he's going to leave beloved Juventus.
That way. Yeah, and he's also had a lot of injuries this season.
But who do you want to replace him with?
Marcus Thuram. Probably one of the more unrealistic ones up here, if I'm
get
being
him
honest.
out of Inter.
Yeah, very tough. I think Lewandowski is probably the most realistic option to replace him, but I've gone with Thuram because I would absolutely love to see him. He's 28, he's in his prime, and this season there have been rumours that Inter are looking to sell him in the summer. He's not had the best season since joining from Gladbach on a free in 23-24. 12 goals, 7 assists in the league, but Thuram is just an absolute beast up top. He's an incredible striker, big box threat, great in the air, hard worker. And one thing that I think could potentially push this narrative is Lilian Thuram, of course, his father, Juventus legend. His younger brother, Kefren, is at the club as well. I think those two have to play with each other, for the same club team at some point in their career. So this is a bit of a dream, but I would love it.
Heart versus head, Luka, as a Juventus
If we were
fan,
doing head, guys, I would probably say that, right?
Yeah.
But heart, I would love to see
stick
Thuram.
it down. It's your list, mate.
You know, I'm really surprised. Darwin Núñez hasn't been mentioned at all. I would have thought that he would have been an outside shout to replace someone this summer.
Well.
And Mateta's
There's
some great strikers who could go on the move.
Mateta is an interesting one to keep an eye on, I agree.
Yeah. Are you worried about losing Vlahovic or just not bothered at this stage?
The thing is, I like Vlahovic a lot, and I was so excited when he signed. And I think his return has been good at Juventus. I think he's been unfairly criticised at times, but injuries have caught up to him a lot this season, and I just can't see him renewing, to be honest.
Okay. Final name, a player that we do think is going to renew, right?
Yes.
I'd be really surprised if Luka Modric doesn't renew his contract at Milan, but let's say in a hypothetical world where he does leave.
If he was to leave, they have the replacement on the bench, Samuele Ricci.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, like you said, Joe, I think Modric should stay, and I think he will stay, because he has been Milan's best player in my opinion, alongside Mike Maignan.
Which is crazy, isn't it?
It's incredible the level that he's still playing at his age, isn't it? There's certain players, you look at Ronaldo as well, the players that have looked after themselves. Modric is another one that's just the longevity of his career and consistency is just remarkable.
It's absurd, and he's got the most minutes played for any outfield player in the league.
Which is incredible, isn't it? Because a lot of people thought he'd come in as a squad player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's only missed one game, guys, on the bench for one Serie A game. He's played every other game, almost 90 minutes all the time. And he's just one of the best sixes in the world, still to this day. But for me, Ricci is an incredible six as well. Tempo setter, young, just brilliant in build-up play. And I don't think he's got the game time he probably deserves because they have someone like Luka Modric ahead of him.
Yeah.
But I think next season with Modric potentially aging more at 41, maybe getting more tired, I think it'd be a great way to implement Ricci more. Maybe in a double pivot as well, both of them potentially playing. But yeah, I think they got a great replacement on the bench.
And what a player for him to learn from as well.
Can you just say his whole name again?
Samuele Ricci.
You see, it's just nice.
beautiful.
You have a
It is
native.
Beautiful flow. So there is Luca's suggestions. Are there any changes you would make? Any players that you think are very realistic shouts from Luca?
I think Darwin Núñez and someone like that is a good one. But I think up there, you're probably... I think you're looking at... Manchester United need a midfielder like Camavinga who can also fill in at left back. Decent little shout. I think that works.
He's very versatile, Camavinga.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Diamande.
Okay, so there we go. Let us know your thoughts at home on Luca's suggestion.